All right, so we'll call the meeting to order, the Berlin Select Board meeting for October 20th. To my left is Flo Smith. To my right is Vince Conti, and we have Carla Nuizel, if it was spelt right, online. I'm Joe Staub. Addition, deletions, any?
I have a couple of additions. There will be a short executive session on staffing, and there is a Public Works Board application for signing authorization. It was approved by the Public Works Board a year ago, but never ratified with the Select Board here. So we just need to provide signature authorization for our Public Works Supervisor to sign for the documentations.
And we'll do that before what?
We'll do it at the end of the meeting.
Okay.
It'll be it's in this package for signing with everything else anyway, so we can do it along with all the applications at 7:15.
Okay. All right. If there's nothing else, public comment? Yes, sir.
Matt Shamba, I live on Chase Road, the other side of town. And I'd like to ask your help in trying to do something about the stretch of Chase Road that's a class 4 road that connects Chase Road by Route 12 with Jones Road. I think the north of the Jones Road and the last house before you go up to the class 4 stretch. And the road is a mess. It is, I sent a couple of pictures to
The email and the pictures are here. We got it today.
There's a sign at the south end on Route 12 and saying road closed, no through traffic, something like that. There's nothing at the sort of the other end. People routinely come through with ATVs, dirt bikes, pickup trucks to go play in the mud up there. They're making a mess of the road. What's left of it? It was washed out in 2023, and the hasn't been actively maintained by the town in ages. They used to grade it occasionally, but now basically they're driving up the stream bed. And it's, the picture of a pickup truck that was from last week was there for 2 or 3 days before they got around to coming and dealing with it. I'm tired of the people coming to my door saying they're stuck. My dog got hit by a snowmobile who was driving down the road trying to catch air one time. I got hit by a guy with a gun because I asked him to slow down. People think they just can go up there and raise hell and party and play in the mud. And I don't know what the solution is. It's a class 4 road. If it were up to me, I would ask you to designate it as a trail for non-motorized use only, but whether that's feasible or not, I have no idea. But there's also people dump mattresses and freezers and refrigerators up there all the time because it's a back road that they can get to easily. And they sit there for years. Finally, I assume the road crew took away the refrigerators and freezers that were up there earlier this year. But there are mattresses there all the time and they just rot. And it would make it so cars couldn't go up there. That at least couldn't happen easily. Even if ATVs, which, ATVs can't go on our town roads, as far as I know, and they have to drive on class 3 roads to get up. So I don't know what to do about it, but I think with it. So I'd like your advice or see if you could think about what could be done about it. At a minimum, put a sign up at the north end saying road closed, no through road.
On the Jones Brook side.
Yeah. Where it turns into class 4, I guess would be a lot.
Has there ever been a sign that you know of?
There used to be a sign that said road closed in winter, but I don't know whatever happened to it. It probably got.
I was going to say, because that one picture of a sign looks pretty nice.
Yeah, that's been there.
On the Chase side.
Yeah. But it doesn't help. I still get every year when UPS and FedEx get new drivers in the fall, they said, sorry, we can't find you. The road hasn't been, storm whatever, and they can't get through it. They ship our packages back to where they came from.
So your address is Chase Road.
Yeah.
You're on the Jones Brook Road side.
Yep, yep.
That's not the only instance that we've had issues like that.
Mhm.
Yeah, I'm sure various of my neighbors have complained about issues up there in the past. It's so whoever. It's a lot of, like I said, a lot of ATVs, dirt bikes, and Sandy that's just bob up and down the hill in the last three. Section to get to the last floor.
Do we have any signage available to do such a thing? Or that's for road closed? Any extras?
Probably find something over
Yeah, I mean, that's
a short term.
a short, that's a one step.
And
there.
reasonable.
I'm surprised it lasted a week. But
Yeah. Okay,
I
then
didn't-
I think we probably have to bring it up and talk about,
Yeah, again, there's a whole
You sure?
process if we want to reclassify a road that we have to go through, to follow statute and.
Yep, thanks for listening.
No, but
Thank you.
I mean, I think we can put a sign up, right? It may deter
Yeah,
2 or 3%, but,
at least the naive people that are just following their GPS.
yeah,
Which happens all the time.
and
Does.
then we can,
SUVs that get stuck up there.
then we can have a discussion on, other options that are available, a little longer
Exactly.
term.
Yeah,
Right.
and if I can be invited, I'd be happy to.
Yeah, well, again, it'll be in a public meeting like this, it'll be on the agenda as well, and
Great.
so, yeah.
Thank you.
Certainly.
Thank you.
is there any other public comment? Yes.
Yes, hello, I'm Jonathan Goddard. I live on Hill Street Extension. And I just wanted to bring to the board's attention something that is concerning to me about use of the right of way in terms of electrified fences being really, really close to the edge of the road in some places. And the problem that presents is, while I understand that the homeowners or whomever puts them up, are at risk of, it's in the public right of way. So therefore, a plow or whatever could hit that and they assume that risk. And I understand that. The trouble though is that there are some places where some of these electrified fences are so close to the edge of the road that if one of my neighbors recently was walking his kids and his dogs and the dog hit the fence, and there's in some places effectively nowhere to get off the road. If the electrified fence is a foot from the side of the road, you can't move over if a car's coming. Your dog hits the fence, jumps into the road, a car's coming. I mean, there's a whole host of foreseeable problems that could occur from that kind of situation. So, my wife, our dog hit a fence once too by accident. And I just think that it presents a hazard if electrified fences are too close to the side of the road. I know 24, I was looking at the statute today, 24.75 on either side of the road is, the 3-rod distance. And many of these fences, or at least some of the fences, certainly on our road and probably elsewhere, I would imagine, are well within, that they're not far enough back off the center of the road is what I'm saying. And so at least if there's a 3 or 4 foot buffer between the edge of the road and the fence, that way someone with a double stroller with children can actually get off the road if somebody's coming. Right now, they can't get off the road in some places. So, and then, it wouldn't be a bad idea probably to require some signage. Hey, this is a hot fence. I mean, we all know what a cattle fence looks like. We're going to stay away from it as much as we can. But other people may not know there are some that aren't just wire. They almost look like rope. And so somebody wouldn't know necessarily that that's a hot fence. So I think there's just some issues that, could make it safer for everybody. So I just wanted to raise that and let you all know how I think about that. So thank you for your time.
Thank you, Jonathan.
Yeah.
Any other public comment?
I have a
Yes.
comment.
I'm Charlene Hedges and I'm with Berlin Water Company. And I have been trying to contact somebody here to find a disaster recovery plan that you might have in place. Because in my source protection area, you established a sewer line through it in 2019, I think. And I think my dad addressed the board about it, saying you can't do that in a source protection area. But for some reason, the permit failed me. And I'm checking with the state right now on where the process failed me and how a sewer line got into a water source protection area. And if there is a disaster and water and your line breaks, I need a disaster recovery plan on how is it going to be handled and who is going to supply the customers with water. But I'm still researching on where the process failed on the permit. I don't know if somebody put it in the permit that it was a source protection area. I'm not exactly sure. I can get with the Department of Conservation to see how they can help me.
Do we know a year that may have happened?
That was in 2019,
19.
right around COVID time.
Okay.
And I think before my dad died, he did address it, but they still went ahead. But that claim was staked 1940s for the source protection for that water system, way before a sewer line should have ever been allowed through there. So that jeopardizes my water system and the quality of water for the customers. Because if you contaminate that water, they will get sick. And if it's a child, they will die. If a dog, yeah.
And do we know the location? Did you say what the location of that was?
It's behind the Berlin Convalescent.
Okay.
There's a big source protection area. It goes all the way from the airport, all the way around. There's zone 1, zone 2, and zone 3. And it's like a 5-mile radius. And they just came through with a sewer line. But I can't get anybody to respond to me. I've contacted the town administrator 4 or 5 times. I know he opens my emails because I attach a receipt. When he clicks on that email and opens it, I know what the date was and when he read it. But I just keep sending it, keeps opening it, just ignoring it.
When did you start contacting the town?
I could tell you that, but I can't. I mean, I could tell you that later on, but I don't have that information right now. But it's probably at least a good 6 months to a year ago. I started saying, I gotta get this situation addressed, because if this does happen, then the people are at jeopardy.
Yes, Tom.
I could take her in my office and we could look at a map and see where this concern is. And I'm thinking it's a water line that was put in. I don't recall us doing a sewer line down there, but it's easy enough. We'll just go check some maps right now while she's.
If you're willing.
Yeah.
I think that's a great idea.
Yeah.
Thank you. And thank you for bringing it to us, Charlene.
I'll look back for those emails.
Mhm.
I haven't seen any recently,
Mhm.
but I'll look back through,
That sounds great.
see if I can find any of those emails.
That'd be wonderful.
All right. Any other public comment? All right, seeing none, we have a Park and Rec Committee update.
Okay. Hi, I'm Jeff Farrell with the Berlin Recreation Commission.
Welcome, Mr. Farrell.
Yeah. Let's see, this year, we have served 73 kids in our soccer program, and 67 kids in our basketball program. We have worked with the Little League baseball program to upkeep the field and the baseball field at Berlin Elementary School. And we don't have numbers on the Little League because they take care of their own thing. We help them with facilities. We are beginning, well, let's say things we've already done. We hosted ice skate swaps, cleat swaps, and basketball shoe swaps for the kids in the programs and really anybody else who needs them, but mainly for the kids in the programs. We have a broom ball set that came on duty during this last year, and it is available out in the ice house. Unfortunately, we will not have facilities for it this winter. Let's see, projects upcoming. There is a new shed that we are in the process of building. I won't say we haven't procured materials for it yet, but it's we're in the process of getting volunteers to work with us building it and building the shed at the elementary school to house sports equipment and concession stand. And ideally, we'll be able to start generating some revenue from our concession sales once we have a place to do concessions from. We'll also have dugout improvements going on for the dugouts at the ball field. The major project is, of course, the recreation pavilion that we have out here that we're hoping to see some results for next month at the vote. And we hope that the voters of Berlin will support us in having a new facility for everyone to use and benefit from. Any questions from the board?
That's a great overview. I was going to say too, I saw 6 days ago, the town of Berlin did post about the open house on the 25th from 3 to 5.
Mhm.
That will be wonderful. And we welcome anyone and everyone to attend.
Yep.
There'll be food and hot chocolate and opportunity to discuss it and hear more information.
And there will be members of the design crew there to answer questions about design and use capabilities that'll come out of it.
Great.
And we'll also be hosting an information night at the Berlin Elementary trunk or treat. When they do that, we'll have a table set up there to answer questions for folks who are participating in the trunk or treat.
It's great.
And that's this Friday, the 24th.
20.
Yes. Yep.
That was 25th. Did I have it wrong? Or are we talking?
The trunk or treat is
The trunk or treat is 24th on Friday. Got it.
That's not the open house. We're
I got it.
Full scale on that. We're just
Right.
it's going to be there.
That's
Just
great.
Our committee members to
Nice. Very
and
great.
maybe invite some more people to come to the actual open house.
It's great.
But we'll be there.
Wonderful.
nice.
Can I just ask quickly, where's the open house gonna be on Saturday? Is it the school or here or
For the rec pavilion, it's gonna be right here,
right here?
Yep.
right here.
Great.
Yep.
3 to 5.
Mhm.
Yep.
Good.
Anything else?
Thank you.
you.
Thank you very much.
You're
Thank
welcome.
you. Moving on, I guess it's Ron talking about the reserve fund policy draft.
Yep. You've got in your package some information from Ron as well.
Mhm.
He was kind enough to send us, so you do have that.
Ron Rajewski, Stone Shore Municipal Consulting. Good to see you. We're coming to the very end of our original contract, which was the capital improvement plan. And Carl with Highway today. I sent out an email late this afternoon sometime about a timeline to track the whole.
It's in their package today.
Yep, so it's track the whole system and
Mhm.
who needs to do what and when with a proposed November 17th.
Okay.
public hearing. So over the next couple weeks, we're taking sort of the final comments. Because about the time you publish the 15-day notice is when the public should have access to the draft that you'll all be seeing at the public hearing. So we've got about a week and a half. So if you see anything glaring.
Isn't a lot of time when you start to look at the capital improvement plan
Right.
that they have.
Makes me squirm in my chair a little bit.
Yeah, well, there's a little cheat sheet that I sent out to Vince and Tom today.
Mhm.
It's the whole asset list, which is 6 pages long.
I also shared that in their package.
Yeah, so there's a highlight of like the new stuff in
Okay.
purple.
Looks like
Okay.
this.
Okay,
So
great,
5 pages.
You
great.
can jump to the,
That's great.
and you pretty much
Helpful.
can ignore anything that's labeled completed because that's been done and it's old. It's just there
Right.
for reference. So it gets a little more condensed when you look at yellows and purples versus everything.
That's nice.
So that's the summary on that. I'll just say it one more time that the select board's mission on this whole thing is to make sure there's assigned staff so that when you get to next July, there's somebody that says, hey, it's on my calendar. I got to start updating all this data and
Mhm.
not lose track of that.
Have a
So
tickler. Mhm.
however that gets on somebody's calendar and who does it other than probably, Vince. But anyway, somebody has to have that. Whether he assigns it or not is totally irrelevant to the recommendation. So the other two topics were, and of course, every time we meet, we kind of go off on little tangents of other governmental stuff. And two of the things that popped up were staffing and reserve funding. So reserve funds are their own animal. They're in the capital plan as a resource to fund your purchases, stay away from loans, stay away from the general fund, which is your direct property tax impact, and encourage department heads and yourselves and planning commission or rec committee to explore all other revenues first before getting into certainly a debt situation or asking for just hard taxpayer cash. This is sort of a mentality of when is a project ready? The board can say when it's fully funded. No tax dollars. I've had a couple of select boards say that. No, if you don't have a plan for fully funded, no tax impact, we're willing to take on the long term. The maintenance, and replacement costs.
Yeah.
But that initial contribution has to be, unit driven sometimes. So because Berlin does not have a very active, as far as I can tell, reserve structure, reserve policy, what do you do with the cash that's free versus the cash that's needed next month? There's a lot of moving parts into reserves. So it's a general category, but it's directly linked to how well you fund your capital plan, like whether you take advantage.
And that's what part of this is about, just to be clear, is developing a draft reserve fund policy. So exactly what he's saying, we need to put on paper how we're going to manage that and do that going forward. That's
Right.
kind of
Right. If you wanted to work with me and Vince to get you to a certain point and try to get those after the contract, we're sort of after the first contract. So
right.
we'd have to come up with another contract and Vince and I would work very closely with my wife, who's a municipal CPA, and we would kind of upload Vince and try to read, what his needs are, what the town's needs are. And then eventually you would get a reserve. It would probably be coupled with some sort of investment strategies.
Yep.
Because they go hand in hand as well. So that was the initial, that's as far as we got in our side discussion.
Exactly.
We were talking about capital plan. We said, what do we do with the reserves? And we said, well, what do you guys have? And it's like, well, we're going to have this LOT revenue that has to be distributed somehow. And it's, voters said capital, which is capital improvement plan, which is not going to be needed all the time. So that leads into the investment strategy. So it is a kind of a whole secular process of how you manage your money, but it's in the context of those kind of broader subjects. So
Great issue to have, though, to be in this position where we are looking.
You had new revenue coming in on top of good policy already. It would be sort of seamless, but you're sort of focusing all at once.
Yeah.
And that's where Vince and I were like, well,
And it's
better
huge.
time than ever to, try to do this now.
Right.
And it's not a huge project necessarily. But it's something that does take a little bit of,
So going forward, I
Discussion.
expect to have a draft RFP developed, right, to move forward with this.
That sounds great. Mhm.
yeah, I think there's two options. The staffing one is definitely RFP. The reserve funding and this policy discussion.
Right.
I think we can.
We can,
We can almost do that ourselves
Yes.
for a very low amount that wouldn't require an RFP if you want to do a supplemental contract
Yeah,
that just focus on that.
I think.
I just don't want to work without a contract because I'm a contractor.
No, exactly.
Oh, absolutely,
No, that's
understood.
it.
So
We would
the problem-
never recommend that.
Depending on which way the town wants to go, it's relatively a small project. So you certainly could do an RFP, but by the time you did the RFP.
I did the RFP is for the staffing one for sure.
Yeah, for sure.
Because that's going to be big.
And you might see if Vincent, if the town's wanting to do that kind of a smaller reserve project, you would see the contract with Stone Shore next for a very short-term limited thing. So that's, I'm not recommending hiring Stone Shore, not doing an RFP. That's your choice. But I'd say we're close enough that it feels like it's a relatively small project. I think I estimated like $500 or something like that.
Yeah.
So that's that. The staffing report, however, is a much bigger animal.
Right.
The city of Montpelier took one out 2011 or 12, and they had the same kind of thing. What do we have now? Where are we headed? How does our facilities work with our staffers? How do all those big things work? And they hired a consultant, but the consultants need to be directed to meet your specific needs. So that's the second project. It's a small little project with Stone Shore to continue with what I already know about Berlin and talking to your staff. Certainly over the last 18 months or so, I've learned a lot about Berlin to help Vince pull together that kind of more layered RFP. And then you would advertise for something that might be in the $20,000, $30,000, $40,000 range and how you pay for that.
Mhm.
And if I help with an RFP, I don't necessarily bid unless everybody's, very aware of me helping with the RFP. So, anyway, and that may be too big for my, it's just me and my wife. So that may be a little bit bigger company that you'd want anyway. And there's some national and regional entities that do this all the time. Municipal resource type people that will come in and have done it 50 times, for a town. And on your agenda, you say, and it was good because it does have impacts. It has impacts on your staff, people that feel they're not equitable pay right now or overburdened or, they all have their own those consultants would go meet with everybody and get that raw information from what is your job description? What's your day like? What's your stress level? What's your physical capacity? Do you have enough resources? And some of those answers are going to be good. Some of them will put more burden on you for what do we do about this deficiency in our system? Do we build new offices? You're already there. Do we have enough police staff?
We're already there.
Does the Vince and Tom core select board support, is that sufficient for the next 10 years?
Right.
Or the past 5 years?
Exactly.
Those are all the things, they really get into that kind of stuff. A lot of it's interviews, a lot of it's comparing comparable towns to Berlin. And really it's gonna, I don't see it being an eye opener, but a lot of times the staffing and your needs for operation get pushed aside because there's so many other fires on top. And you kind of say, well, everything must be good. Everybody's still showing up for work. You don't know if they're just grumpy showing up to work, do the quiet quitting thing. You don't know those things and you start asking questions. And some of the answers may be costly. It may mean another half person somewhere that you never knew where you even needed as a board.
Right.
Mhm.
Other departments.
The town's going to grow, and Tom's heard me say this probably a dozen times today. With or without us, do we want to look ahead a little bit and be able to manage the growth, or have the growth manage us? Right, and that's what this is part of.
I think it just lays out, and the first thing that they will do is sort of like the capital planning. What are you doing? What's your public service? Do you have a rec department? Do they need a rec director? Can it be phased in over 4 or 5 years? So 10 hours, 20 hours, 30 hours. Those are the kind of things that they get. And a lot of it's what level of service the voters want.
Exactly. That's why it's
You
just
start
the
proposing-
public outreach is part of it as well. They're gonna have a lot of opinions on it as well that we need to listen to.
You bring everybody along as much as possible, including the staff. And pretty soon, the more people understand about the process, the more comfortable they'll get versus the board hiring some consultant that goes away and comes back with a final report.
Yeah.
It's nothing like that. And you never
Right.
do that. So people need to be aware of what's up. So this is the first discussion about potentially opening that can, if you will, to a certain degree, because it takes a lot of effort to do it the right way, including keeping public informed. You have a separate website, regular newsletter. I don't know how you keep everybody informed. That's kind of a challenge itself. But what the proposal that Vince and I were talking about is just looking at some similar recent studies, coming up with an RFP, drafting it for your review, and then finalizing it for advertising it once you find funding. And the funding, like I said, the funding could be 20 to 40 in that range, whether you wait for a planning grant or do some economic development grants or do maybe downtown funding program. That's something that you can look at staffing resources. We'll do some research on that and come back. So I think those are the three topics that I need to bring the board up to speed with, answer any questions. Feel free to add a fourth one if you want.
Thank you, Ron.
I'm okay. Do you guys have any questions for Ron? You
I
have an
don't.
understanding of where we're headed with this, I think?
Yeah.
What we need to do, I hope.
Yeah, so Vince and I mean, my proposal is that Vince and I would work on his supplemental contract and define that. We just talked about,
Right.
you would get that to give the go ahead to spend that $1,500 total or something like that.
Mhm.
And then we would come back at the end of that and have two documents for you. One would be a rough draft of a policy with some investment strategies. And the other one would be a rough draft of a RFQ, probably for request for qualification.
In my opinion, it's very worthwhile and something that we need to go forward with. And I think you've explained it extremely well. You've put a lot of time and effort into it.
Drag Carla in. Carla, do you have any comments on that as well? You're
Sorry.
muted, Carla.
Sorry, my mouse wasn't working. I think we absolutely should do a staffing study. So I mean, I'm curious about what the options are, but I guess we'll find that out when we do the RFP. Just because I do think, someone local. So Ron, you're kind of taking yourself out of the equation if you help with that.
Can I ask the board then if they're willing to vote tonight on moving forward with Ron on the contract?
Well,
that
you
we
mean for the reserves?
Yeah, for the reserve and for the development of the RFQ for the staffing.
Well, I guess I'm just wondering about, the comment about if he develops the RFQ, he wouldn't be, he wouldn't be probably likely to bid on the contract. But you say you think there's sufficient firms or people out there that do it, Ron?
Yeah, my recommendation is that my particular firm doesn't have a lot of experience with a full-on staffing assessment, and you'd be better off putting it out to RFQ.
Okay.
If I were to bid on something like that, I would probably have to find other resources and disclose to everybody that I helped with the RFQ, and I could maybe partner with somebody, that kind of thing. But that would be on me, and you as a board being comfortable with disclosing that I helped with the RFQ. Right. Other consultants like to know where the RFQ came from. Right.
Okay.
And they want to have it transparent that even though I helped draft it, it's totally competitive basis and there's no, promises of an award and all that.
Exactly.
Understood.
Yeah.
Okay, well, I'm in favor of voting on it. I'll make a motion that we approve the extension of to do the reserve funding in the RFQ. Have Ron work with you on that.
And I'll second Carla's motion.
Is there any more discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
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 Paperwork coming.
Okay. Looking forward to it. Thank you, Ron.
Yep, you're welcome.
Thank you.
Thanks, Ron.
Thank you, Carla.
Welcome.
And for the record, I'm not just sitting at home, I'm in Baltimore.
I told him you were out of state.
Okay.
So the select board approval of Darling Junction Road and Richardson Road culvert projects.
Yes,
Design.
the design. So all three are in your package.
Have a good evening. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Hope you had a chance to really review them, but this is the next step into moving forward. Bob, do you want to talk a little bit about the FEMA situation on these culverts? I mean, we have a little bit of good news, I think.
Yeah.
Right?
Are we on the agenda here?
We're on the 3 culverts.
6:15,
The design approval.
6:15?
Yes, sir.
Yep. So select board may know that we've received funding for 3 2023 flood impacted structures, Darling Junction and Richardson Roads. We were supposed to have the projects done by the end of this month. For various reasons that wasn't done. So we were able to get an extension to April of 2026. That's not enough time to get these things constructed, but it was FEMA thought maybe Berlin was dragging its feet a little bit. And so in a good faith effort, we said we would get these culvert projects approved by the select board at the next meeting. We would over the summer work on getting all the necessary easements for these 3 culverts. We would go to bid with an anticipation of starting construction in April or May of next year. So
the good news is, right, out of this, we initially had missed the deadline, right? So Tom and I worked on some letters and things, and he got them through. So the approval is back there. The extension is now approved. So that's the good news, because again, it was close to a little over $1 million that we would have been on the hook for those repairs if we hadn't got this. So that's the good news out of all of this.
Mega kudos to you both.
Back on track, and we just, again, we can't lose sight of it now. We've got an April deadline that we have to hit this time.
Absolutely.
it's good.
And the first step is getting these designs approved by the board tonight.
And it's good. It's good that Tim's here because he has much more history on this.
Yeah.
And part of the problem is this project got lost in the weeds somehow. We as the town can't afford for this stuff to get lost in the weeds. And I know, Tim, if you want to speak up at any time, but I know he was trying to get these projects moved forward and to no avail. So there just needs to be a mechanism for staff to come to the board and say, look, there's issues here. We need to address this. You know, you want to add anything to that?
Just, I guess the other thing I pushed fairly hard throughout the winter. I wanted them to be a year ahead of where we are now. I wanted them out by spring of last year. And I kept getting told that they were being worked on. And then everything else happened and some emails got floated around and nothing had even been after since almost September of last year. Without me knowing it, I guess. I thought they were being processed through. I had looked at all the designs. Stringers we're still waiting for on Richardson Road, but I had gone through everything, looked at them, talked to a few people, and I thought they were moving forward to the engineering firms, only to find out that nothing had been done. And then thankfully we are getting things moving now, and we got our time to bring, and because the bad thing about it is we would have been left on the hook for the whole thing. But if they were ever to be washed out again, we wouldn't be eligible for any FEMA because they weren't repaired
Right.
during the first go around.
Correct.
And I got a little frustrated at the end about them not happening and started kicking wheels and things kind of started coming along. So I think we're getting there now.
I think we're back on track now for these, so.
Unfortunately, we could have been done and over with by now, but
Thanks for your efforts.
circumstances have led to the point we're at now, so.
Not that it means anything. When were these designs completed?
I think we're close to a year ago.
Okay.
Close to a year ago.
I reviewed
That's
it
all I
in
need.
September of last year. And I was under the influence that they were being processed after that.
So,
I make the motion
Okay.
for the approval by the select board of our discussion and going forward with Darling Junction and Richardson's Roads culvert project designs.
I'll
All
second
three.
it.
Is there any more discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
I,
Thank you.
Thank you. And thank you, Tim, and Vince also.
Yes. So did we also take care of the FEMA extension on that as well?
That is, yeah,
Okay,
that's done.
that's part of it. All right. Amended Gateway Road Project.
Again, that's in your package. Long story short, it was discussed, authority to sign, but we never voted, basically approved it, so we have to do that to make it official tonight as well. So again, we talked about it at the last meeting. I did sign it. It's already gone. But to make it clean and official, we gotta have it documented in the minutes that we voted on it to approve it. We missed that in the last meeting.
I make the motion to approve the amended Gateway Road Project Agreement between the mall and the town as discussed by Vince just now before the board.
Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Any more discussion? Seems none. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
I,
Opposed? And so we have to ratify Weston Mobile Home. Or I should say the sewer project, right?
Yep,
That's what that's.
same thing. Same thing applies to that one,
Mhm.
right? We have to-
This was previously discussed, so I will go forward with a motion to ratify the CBEDC Regional Project Priority Application for Weston Mobile Home Cooperative, which is in essence the sewer project.
Is there a second?
I'll second it. Carla doesn't want a second tonight, I guess.
sorry, I'm having trouble with my computer.
We understand, Carla.
Is there any more discussion? Seems none. All in favor?
Aye.
I,
And again, all these are in the package. If you want to review them or have any questions.
Actually did review that. I did the review, the next one already. So the next one's the resolution authorizing Tom Badowski to sign the fair closing documents on behalf of the town.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, okay.
And there's the document to sign is in the signing package as well.
And anything to advise us about prior to approving the resolution?
No, I don't think there's nothing that hasn't been discussed
Mhm.
on that we're not aware of. It's just to give him signing authorization because I'm not in the office during the week.
And so I've read through that, so I'm going to go ahead and make the motion for the resolution authorizing Tom Badowski to sign the fair closing documents on behalf of the town of Berlin.
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Carla,
Thank you.
was that an aye or an A? We
Probably
need a
no.
vote. Otherwise, you're gonna have to.
Carla?
She's muted.
I know she is.
You're muted, Carla. I'm sure you know that. Technology's great until it's not.
Right. And I'm sure she's trying hard.
Could you type in the chat?
Carla, if you're not able to get off mute, if you could just type your vote in the chat.
Go on camera and give a thumbs up.
Yeah, maybe. Probably doesn't want to go on camera with that margarita in her hand. Did I not get that in the documents?
I didn't see it.
It's in there. I know it's in there. I must have had it out of order.
Oh, board, I can vote, can I?
Yeah, you can.
I see no reason why you can't
You can.
in this situation.
Yeah.
Permission given.
I approve.
Fantastic.
So now, phase one environmental assessment on Route 12.
It's right there. This is in your packet.
The executive summary.
Then there's.
You got the rest of the documents.
Do you want to get us there maybe next?
Sure. Yes, feel free.
That's right. I'm sorry.
Yeah, no,
So-
come right forward.
If I got the name wrong.
Oh, good thing you spoke up because I wrote what you gave me.
Well, just,
Monica, thank you.
yeah, I'm Monica Latigo, and I am with the Sites Management section of the Vermont DEC. And I've been working with Tom on this property located on Route 12 in Berlin. And Tom, I didn't know if there was like something specific you wanted me to.
We talked because it's a phase one, it's maybe briefly explain what a phase one is. The options the town has on the go forward.
Yeah.
Too often there.
Yep. So a phase one environmental site assessment was conducted at this property. And basically what a phase one does is it's like a desktop review of a property, and it's looking at historical information. It looks at, property information, historical maps, federal and state databases. They conduct interviews with people, and they do a site visit of the property. And the environmental consultant who's doing the phase one, basically they're looking at all that information to see if there's any possibility that there would be contamination in, on, or at a property. And so if they believe that there could potentially be contamination at a property, then they would call that out as a recognized environmental condition, which is a REC, the REC that you see. And so for this property, they did find 3 recognized environmental conditions. And just going down the list, the first one was that at this property, it had been used as a garage to perform maintenance on a variety of personal vehicles and equipment since 1996. The reason that gets called out as a REC is just anytime you're doing like vehicle maintenance somewhere, there's a lot of different like chemicals and fluids. There's a lot of potential for spilling at the surface, things like that. So that is why that was called out as a REC. The second one is that at this property, there are 2 single-walled above ground storage tanks that contain diesel fuel. And they're present though without any secondary containment. So again, the potential is there that from the fuel lines going out of the tanks, or anytime the tank is filled, if there was a spill, it would go directly onto the ground. There's nothing else there to contain it. And the third REC is they called out that this property has been flooded. It was flooded 2011, 2023, and 2024. And it's just unknown what, if any, potential contamination could have been washed on the property, since those were 3 really big, significant flooding events. And so normally in a process like this, if there's a RECs identified, the next step would be to conduct a phase 2 environmental site assessment. And that is when you would hire a consultant. They would actually go to the site and collect physical samples. of either the soil or groundwater or anything to either confirm like, yes, there is contamination here based on the recs, or no, there is not. So that's kind of the difference between the two assessments. In this case, it's a little tricky because of the FEMA buyout process that this is kind of housed in, and the whole reason for doing this. Because you're kind of weighing different options. On one side, there's the current property owner that you're trying to help out and do that, while at the same time managing the risks and liability of the town. For this process, it gets a little complicated because all of the FEMA buyouts have to go through a cost benefit analysis by FEMA. And so even though FEMA is not paying for any of this environmental work to be done, the cost to do the work is still included in that cost benefit analysis for the buyout. For this property specifically, it's already pretty close to not being cost effective. And so by doing this work, it could potentially make it so that the buyout doesn't go forward. And so there's just some things to weigh there. So just sharing that. The other kind of piece about this is that what we are trying to avoid is once a phase 2 happens and say that there is contamination or we find something there, and basically that would be any contaminant over our current state standards would constitute what we would call a release at the site. That then would make the property owner liable to investigate and remediate that release, even if the buyout doesn't go through. So what I want to avoid is doing a phase 2 and then the buyout not go through, and then the property owner be stuck with something that never would have come up if they weren't doing this buyout process. So I think, and I think you might need more discussion on this because it's a lot to think about all in one evening and in a short time frame. But what I have been having other municipalities consider is reaching out to the consultant. A lot of people use the same consultant as the phase 1. You don't have to. You could do an RFP process, however that works for you. Have them make the proposal to do a phase 2 with the scope of work and the cost estimate, and then send that to me. And then what I can do is I can work with the Vermont Emergency Management so that they have that number of what the work is going to cost, and we can see how it fits into the cost benefit analysis before it goes forward. There's a couple other steps too that need to happen before the phase 2 could happen. Vermont Emergency Management needs to give the current property owner the offer, and then the current property owner would need to accept that offer. If they don't accept the offer, then this issue goes away because it's not happening anymore. So there's a couple steps like that also need to happen to make sure that it's going to move forward for other reasons. But it's a complicated set of circumstances.
You've done a great job of explaining it to us. And it is a lot to take in all at once, but you have really given it to us in understandable terms.
Great.
Greatly appreciated.
Yeah. And if you need more information or want to have other conversations, I'm definitely available to do that, because I know it is a lot to take in at one time.
So has this information been shared with the property owner as well?
So
Or not at this time?
I'm not sure.
Phase 1 has been shared.
It has been?
Okay.
Okay. That was one of my questions as well. Thank you for posing that.
Yeah, so my role in this is I tend to communicate with the town and with VEM. But I believe it's like the town talks to the property owner in this case.
Monica, I know you and I had a brief conversation on the brownfields program.
Oh, yeah.
Maybe the value potentially to the town of something like that.
Yes.
In this case.
Yep. So in Vermont, we have a brownfields program. It's the Brownfields Reuse and Environmental Limited Liability Act, or BRELA program. And basically it's a way for an entity that is acquiring a property to help release them from future liability of owning that property. So you would enroll before you acquire the property. And basically some of the benefits are at the end of kind of doing this whole environmental process, you would get what's called a certificate of completion. And in that, it protects you from, if there was a change in a regulatory standard, if we started regulating a new substance, it would protect you from having to reinvestigate that. It would protect against any releases that are not new releases, but were not identified during the environmental work that was done before you got the COC. So that's one of the main reasons why people join the BRELA program, is because at the end, once the site has been investigated and remediated to the state's satisfaction, you then get released from future liability. There's a couple little caveats to that, like if there was a new release since you owned it, that would not be covered, but the things I listed would be. For FEMA buyouts, the properties don't transfer, you have to keep them, but in other circumstances, the COC stays with the property. So even if you then sold it to someone else in the future, that release from liability goes with it. It also, joining the program gives you more access to funding to do the environmental and remediation work. It offers you protection from enforcement action. So if there was a property that was delinquent in one way or another, if a prospective purchaser was coming in and buying that property and enrolled in BRELA, then no enforcement actions would be taken against the new prospective purchaser. You also get exemption from the hazardous waste tax and a release from natural resources damages. So there's some additional benefits, but I would say the main benefits are the release from liability and the access to funding. And so that is an option for these properties as well. Again, like, I think this could be a good fit for a project in BRELA. The one thing, again, that we would just have to kind of work out is the timing of when you would apply, because there is a non-refundable $500 application fee. So I would want to make sure that if you were interested in enrolling and doing that, that we were at a place where we knew the project was going to go forward with the buyout and that you actually end up acquiring it. Because if not, I mean, not that $500 is a ton of money, but it's I would not want you to just lose out on $500.
I wouldn't either.
Yeah, right. So just trying to get the timing of that.
That's great.
Right as well.
Very well explained.
Carla, any questions? Oh, she's gone. Oh, she wants to come back in, Tom. Let her back in. You got her name spelled right this time.
Yes, she did.
Why did you see me this time? This is the third time I've done it, but the other two times I sat there and waited. I'm surprised. Oh, whatever.
Welcome back, Carla.
Thank you.
All right, the next step. What is the next step?
Yep.
So I would say the next step is to decide if you want to move forward with completing a phase 2 environmental site assessment or not. I am trying to work through some other pathways forward with VEM, but I haven't gotten any, as of right now, that I would say that that's the decision that's in front of us, is with the information that I just shared, whether you want to move forward or not.
What's the likelihood of a FEMA buyout? Do we know? You have a feeling on this?
I don't have a feeling, just because I'm not the person who's like crunching those numbers. What I can tell you is that there is a lot of different parts that go into that equation. So there's a lot of variables. And so that, yeah, I can't say that would be a question for BEM, which we can connect to. Yeah.
What's the timeline for that decision?
But my sense, Joe, to answer your question, is the owner accepting the value that's that if that doesn't come to fruition, none of this
Matters.
They're not to the point. They're not to that point yet. So that decision needs to be made before we could do anything.
Okay, fair enough.
So I think you have a little bit of time.
Yeah, that was my question. What's the timeline look like for that decision? And again,
I don't,
from what you just
can't
said,
answer that because it's a negotiation
between the two of them with the owner first.
We're not involved.
So we don't have to make a decision until after the owners make a decision whether it's an acceptable offer or not.
Correct.
Okay. When do we expect that, or do we have any clue?
They're talking now. They're crunching the numbers, as Monica said, that they may take a worst case scenario and apply that to the offer, and then as in any financial transaction, there's negotiation.
Right. Okay. So then I guess we'll wait.
We have to wait,
and then when we hear it, we'll get it on the agenda.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, and I'm happy to come back if that's helpful.
I'm sure it will be helpful.
Yeah, I live right here in Berlin. So,
Great.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
vacancies on the select board, you know. It's at $500, that's 2 months for Ron's time.
Okay, moving on, Browns Mills.
Yeah,
Further
so
discussion.
I'm sure you've been around enough to know the history behind Brown's Mills, and it's, again, in talking with Tim, I don't think, correct me if I'm wrong, Tim, but I don't think the board's made a decision from where it last left off, and winter's upon us, right? And he needs some direction on what we're doing for plowing down at Brown's Mills that he doesn't have yet.
The residents also reached out, wanting to know what's gonna happen.
So the one question I'll ask Tim to tell the board is, what do you think our options are down there for plowing? Should the board choose to say, yes, plow it, what does that mean? Where do we start? Where do we stop? What does that look like to you as well? But it's clear, if the board decides not to, then that's a whole different discussion, but what are the options for the board?
I guess we can, it's more along the lines, are we gonna go with what we did the last month worth of winter last year, is just the bridge and back, and then
The residents not on the private section.
have to take care of the remaining of the town road, and like, I don't know about the liability, like, there's some liability there, or, I mean, does that put them in the line of possible complaints like we were receiving? I was going to try to touch base in the police department to see where that situation went. Because that gentleman, I believe, went to court sometime in September. I do know I had to go for a deposition, and that turned into a plea deal instead of going on the charges that were presented. But we have had, in the last 2 weeks, we had one resident reach out and ask, I believe it was the gentleman that does the plowing for the rest of the road. He's kind of looking what he's gonna have to do or something along those lines, and I guess I was kind of looking at, are we gonna try to go back to doing what we were doing and see how it goes, or are we just gonna avoid the situation altogether?
So if I remember right, when we go on Browns Mills and we take that right, there's a section of that which is class 3, and then it turns to a class 4, but we drive past that line to turn around to come back, right?
I don't believe it's class 4, or, you mean, it depends on what map you look at. If you look at, depending on what map you look at, some of the maps show that it's class 3 all the way out to where we turn around.
Okay.
Or at least a class 4 per se, and then it turns into private. But at any ways of, property lines, the top of that little crown of the hill in front of the gentleman's house, that's the end of what everybody believes is the town line. We looked at a few different maps. Some show there, some show out where we turn around. But I don't know if that helps with the question.
Not really, because it sounds like it's not clear where the town line ends.
Right.
Yeah.
That's our first problem, I think.
That definitely is needed.
But we should be plowing to the town line. It's what we should be doing.
That would
The only
make
problem
more
is there's
sense.
no place to turn around. That's why we go out past that property to another adjoining property that we have permission to use as a turnaround and turn around and then come back. Otherwise, they're gonna have to back from like here to Jeff's house. And like, you're asking for trouble at that point. Somebody go back in the ditch, or if it's an ice storm or something like along those lines. I mean, never mind the fact that that takes quite a bit of time. In a 10-wheeler with plowing the wing and everything else, and then if somebody drives in, you got somebody generally behind you, you don't see him back into a car. I mean, it's kind of the same thing we've had in a few other situations. We don't plow a road if we don't have a turnaround. There's that statute down has that.
But
But if we don't plow it, we're not plowing what we should be plowing.
Right.
Yeah. And we're just,
That's another problem.
that's a
So I
problem.
think first thing we have to figure out, where does our town line actually end?
Mhm.
And then the second thing, what I'm hearing is, do we have a turnaround there or not? Right?
Well, the turnaround that we have used for years is on,
It's just past the town line,
well, it's out.
where we think the town line
Past.
is.
Well, it's out past the town line, but it's also not on the property owners that we had the trouble with. It's on a different property owner that wants us there. And we have the permission there. It's just,
It's just getting past that one location.
200 yards between where the private road signs start and the turnaround. And that's the.
So just thinking out loud, if we had a smaller vehicle, if we plowed with a smaller truck, would that change our location where we would have to, where we could turn around?
Yeah, in his driveway. And I don't think that's gonna fly.
So we think that, the town line ends at his driveway?
Where he thinks it is, there's a map. Me and Tori looked in the spring. I believe the map in the office shows out to almost a turnaround. I think Town View shows almost a turnaround.
Using Mr. Chair.
Yes, sir.
Add something to this. Tim, what would your recommendation be? I think I'm hearing you say, go past the town line, turn around in this guy's that's been friendly to us and completely plow into that.
I mean, that's the way it has been for years. The gentleman that we've had issues with is just fighting with his neighbors, and I believe it's just one way more he can get.
So for just,
Harassing his neighbors.
for the sake of this, then would it be a problem if we decided tonight to start with what we've been doing and see if we have any problem. And then if we have a problem, then I think we have to, well, before we have a problem, let's say that. We still need to investigate where the town line actually ends to make sure we have our ducks in a row. If there does develop a problem, what our recourse is going to be at that point in time. And that way, at least if it snows next week, we get a foot of snow, you know what to do.
We don't have no problem doing what we were doing. I just want to make sure that it is what everybody else wants us to do. And I mean, we did a site visit today. There's vehicles in the right of way.
Well, right now, yeah, we're probably going to start off a little bit of a problem because we're going to have to notify him or send the police down. He's got to move. He's got 4 vehicles on one side of the road, 2 vehicles on the other side of the road, right where they pass through, that are not abandoned, but they're not registered or anything else. They're sitting there in the way. So we'll have to address that for sure. And we'll see where it goes from there. But I guess in the meantime, got some homework to do to figure out where the town line actually is, and
Again,
if we can have a turnaround where that is or not, or continue.
Summer.
If the guy's more amenable after this, we could probably just continue, but we still need to figure this out
Yeah.
as well going forward. So that's my recommendation for.
I'm in agreement. Move forward as you have. We know we've got other issues to address and deal with. But for the time being, until we have more time to address those issues, I think that's the best thing at this juncture.
So can I just clarify, is this town road then private road?
Yes. It's town road turning to private road.
And who owns the land that the private road's on?
Multiple people.
Well, usually one person owns it and then there's an easement for the others. Does anybody know the answer to that question?
No.
I do not.
I have an idea. One of those little branches. So, and this is for highway as well, but most municipalities do not have all the right of way they need for their operations. Most highway roads are mapped. VTrans has them right down to the 10th of a mile. You guys sign off certifications every.
We just got new maps a couple of weeks ago.
Yes, we did.
So when highway goes out and plows under state law, they have to get to the end of that class 3. The select board has policy and options on 4s.
Yep.
And you should never be outside your 4. In this situation, especially if you've been doing it for years, you go out past the end of your town highway system and you make use of somebody's private property. Sometimes you can get a prescriptive easement due to that action.
Okay.
So if you stop doing that, you'll lose that. That means you have to go back to that landowner if that's the best location for you. So pulling back on a class 3 to somewhere else in the class 3, you're not going to get to the end of it anymore because there's some obnoxious person harassing.
That's a problem.
You know, that's really a police matter and your ordinance problem.
Yep.
So if you don't have an ordinance that says no parking in the right of way, you know, December 1st to May 1st,
We do have that.
We do.
then it's an enforcement issue. You know, tow it, get it out of there, and you take control of the right of way.
That's what he was referring to earlier, was a bit of an enforcement issue that occurred last year.
That's the whole.
Didn't go well.
The whole process of right of way is controlling and owning, right?
Right.
So if you let that go, people take advantage and make it more discomfort for whatever reason.
Exactly.
When you first have this issue, this is just advice. You should have a historical survey or person, maybe in town or one of the neighbor towns, that immediately gets called to do a road survey and do an existing sites map, basically. Where's the center line? What's the defense? I mean, where's the markers on this? All the things that Tim knows in the back of his head for a lot of roads. But if you don't have that document confirmed, you end up with this kind of discussion about, well, I think it's here. I think it's, you're never going to get to the answer of how to control the right of way.
That we have to do regardless.
Yeah, but I'm just saying out loud that's like, Tim's going to hear it first. And the next day he'd be shit. It's not even I think it's here question. It's like, I need to call somebody to get this done in front of the board because there's an argument. Landowners have rights, the town has rights. And without a good
a survey of that road, you're gonna be stuck there for a while. And as far as the police department goes, they can be directed by the select board to do enforcement for safety of highway operations. Like that's in state law too. So, it's not really that's not a very gray area. For emergency operations to be impeded is not a gray area.
Right.
So if there's a couple, I think you can get through this. The caution was pulling back on a class 3. Technically, you need to have a public hearing to stop plowing something that you're
Correct.
plowing. And you could initiate that as a process too. A formal public hearing under state law to stop winter plowing. That would get flesh out some things too.
That would get some attention in a hurry.
Yeah. So I don't think.
It's not insurmountable.
No, it's really just
got to do our homework.
Yeah, just take the state law, get it there, initiate the survey at some point.
Exactly.
Next year, you have a whole new way of dealing with that road, but it's based on, like you're saying, the harder evidence, if you will.
And your explanation about the prescriptive easement, that's very good information.
Yeah, that goes for a lot of the turnaround areas that have been established over years. Be very careful about pulling out of those.
Right.
Mhm.
No, if we can keep using them, obviously that's better for everyone.
Yeah, same as road drainage cutouts and all that other business.
Ron, what's the length of time though on that? I'm assuming is that similar to adverse possession?
Yeah, I've heard 7 or 15 years, depending on what's being taken, so to speak. So, and you have to have evidence of it, which is usually affidavit from the highway crew or landowners that have been there for 40 years, that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Thanks.
But it's really better to work with a surveyor, get the lines established, get the right of way that you need and get it recorded in land records. That's a straight line path. If you start to get into, the history, it gets long.
No, yeah.
Longer process.
Exactly.
Everybody's willing to work on it, I should say. Take advantage of that willing landowner at the end if that's where you really want to turn around and do it while they still own the property.
Exactly.
So we want to move forward with doing a road survey.
Yeah, I've got some notes. There's a few things I got to do to clear all that up, to know exactly what we've got to work with. But in the interim, we're going to continue like we have unless there's an issue.
Sounds good.
Yeah, that was the recommendation.
Good enough. Moving
Hear
on.
that?
As long as everybody's,
Supporting you?
yeah,
Support. Yeah.
I just feel bad for the 10 residents past that.
Yeah, we don't want to do that. We,
Are stuck
yeah,
taking the grunt of it.
yeah, we don't want to do that.
So moving on to the town sidewalk discussion.
So again, this is a kind of an interesting one and a look ahead, right? Just in the little bit of time I've been back, there's been a lot of talk about sidewalks in town, right? All the way from the Riverton Bridge, I hate to bring that up, but right, to the new town center, to the school driveway now, we're talking about sidewalks. So they're coming, right? And then when we listen to Tim, right, he's not real excited about it because he has no equipment, he has no staff to take care of sidewalks, because there's going to be liabilities with them in the winter, right? We got to maintain them.
And the board has discussed that in the past.
So this is why it's on the agenda, because there's no real clear direction of where we're going with sidewalks in town, other than that they're coming, whether we want them or not, they're coming. So is winter. Now, we may not have any this winter, but next winter we will have some to deal with. So we basically got a year to figure out at least what we want to do on the onset. Do we want to put an RFP out, hire a contractor to be responsible to do the sidewalks that we have until we have more? But at some point, we're probably going to want to take them on ourselves, because I would guess, like everything, the price of doing that's going to continue to rise.
Right.
And at some point, we're going to need to balance that out, the cost, right? Because right now it'll be a heavy outlay for equipment to clear sidewalks, staff to do it. So that's why it's on the agenda. Let's manage it before it gets ahead of us. If that makes sense.
It does. It does.
So, I mean, go ahead, Carla.
Sorry. I know, and Tom, you can correct me if I'm wrong, but up to this point, when the DRB requires sidewalks, they've made it the responsibility of the landowner to clear the sidewalks.
Right.
So at this point, we don't have any sidewalks that we're responsible for, I don't think. We may in the future.
This is my question, right? We're looking at putting them in along Payne Turnpike North,
Right.
right? We're looking at putting them in along the road that's being rehabbed to the mall.
Yeah, and I don't remember what that permit said. I guess my point is I'm not sure if we have any. Tom, did we put that in the mall one, or is that'll be ours? That'll be the town's after the road's redone,
Eventually.
correct?
At some point in time, that becomes a town-owned road.
Yeah. No, I get your point. I get your point, Vince. But I was just trying to say that I don't think we currently have any of those duties.
No, right now we don't, but they're coming, right? It may be small. Again, maybe it's 5 years before we need it.
Yeah.
But if that's the case, then we need to make sure that either the landowners, but who's going to be the landowner on Payne Turnpike North,
For that path,
right? Right?
it's a half mile long or whatever that might be.
Exactly.
Yeah, that one will probably be different because it's kind of the path thing. But yeah,
All right.
I get your point.
So we need to either look at putting a bid out, get it ready now so that we're on top of it, or taking it on ourselves. Again, my recommendation is just to put it out to bid for the next year or two until there's a real need, until we see a real need, or if the cost becomes more directive. But we need to plan something, I guess is my point.
Oh, I got a question also for this too, as well as we don't have any standards or regulations or, now you're getting a variety of different sizes. Should the town commit to a 4-foot sidewalk, a 5-foot sidewalk, depending on what you either hired or purchase in-house for a piece of equipment is going to be up for discussion on the size of a sidewalk. If you put a 5-foot sidewalk in, you could possibly buy a skid steer and use a skid steer and then still have purpose and use of it in the summertime versus a trackless. These equipment are all over $100,000, but the width of a sidewalk, granite curb, non-granite curb, paved sidewalk, concrete sidewalk, and then whether you're being concrete, most of these places, if it's not a treated concrete, you have to buy a different style of salt. It has to be a non-corrosive salt, so it doesn't pit and break your concrete.
Well, I think the answer to the question is there are, in the zoning regulations.
That's what I was going to ask.
It's 5 foot. It doesn't speak to, the types of concrete, I don't believe. So I would recommend to the board that Tim just reviews what we have in our zoning regulations.
Or maybe we can.
If they need to be
updated,
then we need to go through that process.
And then my
question.
other, I guess, recommendation and ask or whatever is there's different styles of snow removal. City of Montpelier does not use, some towns use snow blowers, some towns don't. Mainly because people don't want the snow to be blowing on their front lawn or anything like that. Like that's another discussion, like that should be set in policy that, we're not, like, where is the snow going to go when it's removed from said sidewalks and set forth from there. So there's some sort of guideline and something to point forth in the future, because like you said, this is all coming, it's going to happen, but I think we need to make it very clear on where it's going to go and make sure that the town benefits on the maintenance end of it as much as everything else. And a 5-foot sidewalk is probably nicer for people to walk, because if you pass two people or if people are using bikes, it's a little wider. So two people pass on a bike, they're not clipping each other, somebody doesn't have to stop. But that's things to think about, because you see a lot of, I've been around longer than I think I have sometimes, but like,
Sounds like it.
narrow sidewalks cause a lot of problems, and you know, I mean, the machines don't always fit and then you end up
Again,
damaging.
I would
pieces of
suggest,
machinery.
Yeah,
he knows what he wants.
yeah. So,
Look at our zoning regulations
Yeah.
and help the planning commission develop more stringent regulations.
yeah, so we'll talk. And do the- But yeah, I've got those two, Tom, right? The standards for the sidewalk. He can take a look at that and update it. And then, you know, the cleaning and all that.
And one more area to look at is your sidewalk ordinance.
Yep.
So you can have the maintenance by the landowners in certain situations, like the mall, for the property owners that abut.
Yeah.
Even though it's in their town right away, it's owned by the town, they are responsible for the
Yeah,
sidewalk.
we had that conversation earlier. A lot of places and businesses are now, mainly because, I mean, they hire people to do their parking lot.
Everything else.
They're there to do the same thing for their sidewalks on their
But to
building.
your point, we need to have an
Yeah,
ordinance.
without an agreement.
Because you don't have anything to enforce.
An agreement.
You don't have an ordinance.
An ordinance is a little harder for the landowner, so, but an agreement, you might get through your initial thing for that.
Right.
I just, but you just said sizing, so there was a town that had ADA, American Disabilities Act standard is 60 inches. You also have grade requirements.
Yeah.
So not just for maintenance, but ADA.
Yeah.
Town went out and invested 150,000 in a all-in-one unit with a little sander off the back and a plow. And they decided to change, equipment one year. And the wheel track was 6 inches bigger than the sidewalk.
Ooh.
And they ended up destroying like all the edges of the, so there's a lot to go into it, like Tim.
Oh, absolutely.
Mhm.
Absolutely.
Yeah, so cool. Good timing to bring up now.
Yeah,
Plenty of time.
right. We just, yeah,
But there's a lot to work out.
yeah. That's what scares me. Plenty of time.
Goes fast.
Exactly.
I just want to commend the select board for putting this on your agenda, and it's been on the back burner for too long. So thank you.
Thank you, Vince.
Yes.
It's got to be done.
Next up, select board meeting time change discussion.
I think one of the board members requested that.
Yes, I will intro this. I made the request. I've been on the select board for quite a few years now. This is my 7th year. And when I first came on the select board, the meetings used to be at 7 p.m. Somewhere along the way, not all that long ago, maybe 2 years-ish, we changed to 6 p.m. So I was just putting it out there for all board members to weigh in as to whether we might move the select board meeting to 7 o'clock again, or keep it the same, or maybe have a variant to that. So that was put through Vince, and Vince reached out individually and people gave their feedback. And that's why it's on the agenda tonight, so that we can all discuss it. But we all already know what people's feedback is.
I'll go first. I don't mind going first. I'm not against going to 7, but I don't think the timing is quite right yet. We've got a lot going on. And again, our agendas just keep getting longer and longer. They're not getting shorter yet.
Yeah.
And my only concern is if we start at 7 now, we'll be here until 9 o'clock. Many of the meetings, or the other option is have more meetings.
I was just going to actually suggest that. That hasn't been posed, but I think it's not a bad idea. We have continuous more and more coming onto our agendas, and we're going through them in a very fast and furious pace. And it's great information, but as we can all see tonight, there was tremendous information. Boom, 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 is the best way I can put it. And we're taking that all in and we're looking at it and making a concerted effort, what we can do and how we can do it better. I'm not opposed to more meetings, not at all. And I think some of what we've already discussed, we wouldn't want to put more impact on others who may have to travel early the next morning or have a 7 o'clock meeting go to 9:30 or 10. Some of our meetings do now go past 9 o'clock, even with us starting at 6. And I'm more than willing to do whatever's required. I love being on the select board and I hardly ever miss a meeting. So I will come no matter what time the meeting is or what day it is or how often we have them. So I think we've all pretty much weighed in on this topic, but we wanted it to be a public discussion as well.
Carla, you
Yeah,
wanted to
well-
weigh in?
For the record, I am in favor of 6 o'clock, but if it's a problem, I'm willing to be flexible, but I would definitely prefer 6:30 over 7.
Give you a half hour. So my thought is anytime, everybody is working during the day, they're getting to the tail end of their, I guess, focus. So if we're going to start at 7 o'clock and we're going to run till 9 or well after, people's tempers can flare. Focus is short.
Some people turn to pumpkins.
They do.
Seen that at meetings before.
Yeah.
Tim drove by.
Totally check out.
4 o'clock this morning to come into work, so it's right here, so.
Yeah.
Gotta.
Speaking of pumpkins.
Yeah.
So, and I said something to Vince, I said, if we have to, maybe we just every Monday until we can whittle this down. We have more meetings if need be.
I've already
I'd rather
thought that.
Anything greater than an hour and a half, people start losing focus. If you can accomplish something, I think in 2 hours, it's worth the push. But if you're not going to accomplish anything, a hard stop is probably best.
I don't mind meeting more times.
Same with me as well. And the reason behind my request is that I do work 4 10-hour days. So I work until 5:30 and I drive immediately after getting out of work here. So that's why I come in about 5 minutes before the meeting starts, sometimes 10 or 15. Gives me enough time to quickly look at the bills, et cetera. I just think, having that additional time allows for better processing, et cetera. So I'm not opposed to keeping it at 6 p.m. We've been doing it for some time, but I wanted it to be out there so we could discuss it.
Got a suggestion, listening to you, trying to listen closely. 2 things. In your agenda, there's thoughtful things and action items. And right now you're mixing them a little bit.
Oh, yeah.
So you feel like you need to keep on pace with your action items, and some of the thought, collective thinking is lost, which is, I think, what you're saying. So 2 suggestions from other boards. One of them is the warrants. You mentioned the invoices and things. Such a big package to put together, a lot of information, a lot of details,
Right.
a lot of, a lot of things are buried in there that a lot of times you just sign away because you don't have time at the meeting to look at it. Having those available on Fridays or posted online on Fridays to go onto your town finance page and look at them.
Actually, I'm going to be the bad guy here. They actually get those.
We do get them
I
electronically.
scan them and they get them before the meeting.
That should expedite your.
It does help.
A lot.
It does help. I just like to look at them thoroughly as well. I do look at what Vince sends me. I just am saying that I'm very detail oriented. So I like seeing it physically, see if something's changed, I pick up on the detail. No, it is, but I'm saying it's better for me to see it physically in person, even though I do review it from what you send me. So you're not being a bad person at all. You're not calling me out on something I'm not doing.
Yeah.
It's just in addition to, it's something I have that preference for.
That's the only tool that I've seen boards adjust to, because they really did not want to sit there and pass 5 inches around to each board member. It takes like half an hour if you're not organized.
Yeah, if they haven't looked at it in advance.
And
it takes forever.
And then you pull out something that could have been answered by Tom at noontime on Monday.
Exactly.
And you saw it on Saturday, that kind of thing.
Right.
The other thing is when you get to those more thoughtful ones, some boards have gone to an alternate meeting where there's just 2 topics. And it's really hard to protect those 2 agenda items from being overcome by miscellaneous request from Tom, I just need a quick vote, and over a couple sessions, all of a sudden it looks like a regular meeting.
Mhm.
So,
Yeah.
so it's a real skill to be able to pull those out on like the third meeting of the month and just have it as thoughtful meeting,
Excellent.
policy meeting,
Policy meeting.
whatever you want to call it. And the
Mhm.
rest of it is action item because these guys need to keep their thing moving every day.
Absolutely.
And they can distill a request for you very quickly as an action item and give you a little bit of history and you're good.
Mhm.
But some of them, it's hard to distill at a meeting and put on the agenda, and then you don't have time to really think about it too much, and you want that extra.
Right. And that
15
brings,
minutes or more would have been great, but we only had 3.
and that brings up a very good point. That's one of the things that I thought about if we were to have more meetings is how would that be impacting on staff? Would it be too stressful for the staff because we'd be constantly
Thank you.
looking at more?
Meeting mode.
And so that is right there at the forefront of my brain as well. But I really like the idea of having more meetings and what you just
Yeah.
described.
It's hard to do, but some people,
Yeah,
especially.
the balance is going to be hard either way. Again, more meetings means more prep time,
Mhm.
right?
Yeah.
To prepare
Mhm.
as well.
Yeah.
So,
And maybe, well, the way to continue to work on this is for you to, in particular, to just, because you're focused on needing more information or wanting more time, is to raise the issue of I need more time on this, and try to think of what that is.
Right.
Is it a grant program that we haven't seen before? Don't expect me to act on it the first, I'm gonna need 2 meetings on.
Mhm.
So staff can get used to uploading extra information on those.
I think that's, yeah, I
Some
think
of
that's,
it's free redundant.
I think that's one of the things that we are, most of the time very good about speaking up, any of us and saying, let's postpone this to the next meeting if we don't need to act on this tonight.
Yeah, but I think what I'm thinking more is conceptual, that some new topic comes in, it shouldn't be the action item when it's introduced.
Exactly.
And then you don't feel like you're like, hey, wait a minute, I need
Right.
more time. It's like, no, staff already knows that they need to break the ice first
Mhm.
and then come in at another meeting. So you can kind of,
Excellent.
yeah, we try
as
to
a board and staff.
minimize the surprises.
Yeah,
to the board.
definitely.
That's like the sidewalk discussion, exactly.
Yes.
If you
Exactly.
were really interested in sidewalks as a member, then you could go out and do a whole bunch of research on sidewalks and be ahead of staff.
Right.
Practically speaking.
Absolutely.
But anyway, that's all.
Thank you. And thanks for discussing it.
So we're gonna leave it as is until,
For now?
Yeah.
for now,
Okay.
until we can, maybe figure out a way to whittle it down to that.
I'll experiment with some agendas.
Yeah.
We'll see how that goes.
Give 10 minutes instead of 5.
As a committee member, I just ask, not demand or anything, but would there be value in having a specified meeting with just the committee, with just members from the committees? So it's a thoughtful meeting, not a voting meeting, where you can gather information from people like us.
I like that.
And not have, and just have that particular meeting, once a month or once every other month or something where you're not.
That's a great point.
I really like that idea. We've always talked about getting the reports more frequently,
Yeah.
et cetera, but the in-person,
Right.
oh, absolutely. Mhm.
Less administrative time. They just show up.
Yeah.
I really like that.
Scheduling thing.
Yeah. Because again, you're here tonight because we're trying to start
Right.
at least one committee a month
Yeah.
in a meeting, but maybe that's a separate meeting all on its own.
Yeah. And it could be an opportunity for different committees to get together with you, and all, all meet.
And a break with snacks.
Yeah, sure, yeah.
We'll add in break time with
Yeah.
snack.
Yeah.
That way we don't have,
We'll even bake.
he's go that different direction.
No, exactly, because that's one of the reasons, right, is to try to get some alignment.
Yes, I think that's great.
The more people pulling on the same direction, makes it a lot easier. Yeah,
Whatever, yeah.
exactly. Exactly. So,
See what you can do about playing with some schedule or some agendas.
That's great. Thank you all.
Thank you. AOT settlement update, Vince?
yeah, as soon as I finish making this note. So you're all aware of the actions that were going on with the state, with the town garage down on 302. The attorney and I met with the state, last Friday. In your package, it went so well that in your package, our attorney has drafted up an order to dismiss with the state and what's expected. If you haven't looked it over,
I have.
I'd like your input back to Mr. Kusick. We can wrap this up and get it done. He's ready to go to the state with it, and we'll get that whole discussion closed. Basically, they're gonna tear down all the buildings that are in the floodplain down there. Look at moving up here, obviously. They've already started those actions, and making that, there's a phrase for it. It's not coming to my head right now. It's part of the floodplain control down there as well for that former property. And maybe some of the issues with the state were, memorializing that building. So they're talking about maybe having a plaque of some sort down there for the history of all that.
So they're not still wanting to keep that brick building?
Correct. They are looking at now maybe reusing those bricks in the new construction somewhere as well. So, yeah, but a lot of that's, if you go through this, you'll see what was agreed to, and they're pretty much going to be in compliant with the zoning requirements that were being questionable before as well. So they're.
I didn't see anything that stood out to me that didn't sound appropriate.
So.
No. Went through it several times.
But if you could look at it, send me something in the next couple of days so I can get to Mr. Kusick and let him know that he's good to go with this, or if you have any changes that you'd recommend. So we can, again, hopefully wrap that up and get it off our plate. Carla, do you have any questions or?
I'll have mine to you tomorrow.
No.
I don't know if you heard me. I'll have mine to you tomorrow.
Perfect.
Sorry. I haven't read it yet.
Okay, if you could, in the next day or two, that would be very helpful.
Okay, I will. And okay, if I have questions, I'll call you because I'm still not clear what the origin of this was, but I guess that doesn't really matter. Okay, I'll let you know.
Okay, yeah, just give me a call. If I don't answer, I will call you back right away as soon as I can.
So is this where we want to have the signing, the public board? Public Works Board? What was the add-on?
That is, I'm gonna make me dig up that document. That is the board for signing this application for the loan that authorizes me, Craig, and Callie to sign the documents for the pump station project.
And that was an add-on to tonight's agenda?
It was an add, but this whole thing, like over a year ago for the pump station by the Public Works Board when they were still, while they were still in existence.
But now that
now that they're not, no one has really signing authority, and this is going to allow that for three of us to have signing authority. Craig being the supervisor of Public Works to have it as well. So
I make the motion for those three individuals to have signing authority on the documentation as presented to us this evening, as described by Vince Conti just now.
Is there a second, Carla?
I'll second.
There you
Second.
go.
If there's no more discussion, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Sorry, this isn't on the agenda, is it? So we're gonna have to ratify this next meeting.
It was on the additions and deletions.
Yeah.
But doesn't it have to be warned?
It's only an application. So it's just approving the application for signature.
Okay.
But if it makes you feel better, I will put it on the next agenda. Again, to ratify.
It's gonna make
I'm okay.
it better.
That could be the short
My
meeting.
understanding is you can't
Yeah.
vote on anything if it's not warned. But, okay, as long as we're gonna ratify it.
Okay, moving on to the minutes. Select board minute meeting for, I believe that was October 6th.
Mhm.
Yep.
It's in your packet.
Yeah, I'm reading through it right now. We're discussing the other things as well.
Should be,
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
you're good at that.
Aw, so are you.
That was the only thing I found.
So the only other thing, I'm going to move approval of them, but I just wanted to note, I've mentioned this in other meetings as well, other minutes. Sometimes things are stated in such a way that it can kind of be deceiving if one of us states something and the way it's put in the minutes. So on page 5 at the top, it says Smith asked if people could run to vote in November. There was a discussion to that effect, but it was a little more than that. So I'm just thinking if that could be elaborated a little bit as to why I said that. So it doesn't sound like, I don't know what I'm doing.
Do you want to write?
Maybe before the night is over.
Gotcha.
Right.
Carrie.
And the other thing that Joe just noticed was on page 1, Staub asked if, it says is. So that is just a grammatical change. So yes, before the night is over. So I make the motion to approve the minutes of Monday, October 6, 2025, with the noted changes that will be specified.
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Thank you.
Can I read it, Flo, or do you want to read it?
You can if you want. That'll
I
be
don't
great.
want to, but I will.
Thank you. Appreciate you.
I make a motion to approve payroll warrant 26-09 for payroll from October 5th, 2025 to October 18th, 2025 to be paid on October 22nd, 2025 in the amount of $86,699.32. Also, payable warrant 26G7 with check number 25384 to 25434 in the amount of $126,412.42. Also, Public Works warrant 26S6 with check numbers 4533 to 4543 in the amount of $7,920.74. Also, ACH warrant for bond renovation loan in the amount of $4,620.90. Also, ACH warrant for well 4 payment in the amount of $18,000.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Aye.
Roundtable, Flo?
No, thank you.
You might want to go to Carla next. I might have a list.
You always do.
I
Carla?
pass,
Roundtable?
pass.
So I have a few things, and I'm going to yield some of my time to Tom to give you updates. So Gateway Avenue construction update.
Sent everybody a video on it. I hope you got it. And it's moving ahead. If rain, be for a pun, a damper on this week, but the should likely suspension of construction November 15th. We're trying to get some pavement down before that time. So next meeting is a week from this coming Wednesday over there. So it's going well. Project is going very well.
Thank you, Tom. Payne Turnpike North Culvert replacement update. Tom,
So
it's going to sound repetitive
yeah,
here.
I think I talked. Well, sometime talked. We have a large culvert on Payne Turnpike North there. We had original budget of $1.3 million on that project. I spoke to the engineer from CHA last week. And they're looking like that budget is off by about $1 million. So they're going to be looking for some additional grant funding to that end, but I wanted to get the select board appraised of that today in case we have to look at some other financing options.
And the town center pedestrian access, the Senator Sanders congressional directed spending.
So we have what some good has come out of the V-Trans moving up on the hill. To the select board's credit, they held the V-Trans feet to the fire about putting pedestrian access on their campus, and they heard the select board's desires. So their intent is to, at their own cost, put pedestrian sidewalks from their campus down to the school, Berlin Elementary School driveway. So we have this $1.6 million congressional directed spending from Senator Sanders' office that until recently, these dollars were, you had in perpetuity to do the projects. Well, with the new federal administration, perpetuity has become 2 years. And so we are having some discussions, and I think the project's going to go forward with V-Trans to extend their sidewalk project on Payne Turnpike North with Berlin's congressional directed spending money down Payne Turnpike North and turning right onto Fisher Road, terminating at the Berlin Mall Roads CVMC crossroads.
Intersection.
Yeah, traffic light, thank you. And so it's been a very good, it's been a very delightful experience so far. If you know Todd Law, he has some roots in Berlin, and he is the driver of this from V-Trans. So when you see Todd, please take your time and thank him for everything he's doing. The town never would have gotten this done in 2 years. We just it would have been impossible.
Tom, can I ask you a question? Oh. Joe, go ahead.
Okay, Tom. So if we're gonna have this done in 2 years, does that mean Payne Turnpike North should be constructed? That culvert that we're gonna have to pass also has to be done in 2 years.
The plan is that's going to be done next year. It always was in 2026.
Okay,
Carla?
go ahead, Carla.
Does that sidewalk from the state site to the mall actually cost $1.6 million?
By the time you're done.
I believe so. Yeah,
Sidewalks are as expensive as road.
Seriously?
Yep.
They are.
And we're going to have a bike path on Payne Turnpike as well.
Okay. Anything else on this one? I still got more.
I'm good. You still have a small checklist?
Tom, Rec Center open house.
Yes, that's this Saturday.
We talked
Please
about it.
come to the open house. We really need to have select board presence and advocating for this project. So it's from 3 to 5. We'll be here early, some food, and so yeah, please come this coming Saturday.
Okay. Also in the signing package, Richard Boltax was on the DRB. He's been on there for a few years now, has stepped down to make opportunities for others on the board. And this is a card for the board to sign and thank him for his service.
Tom, is he going to be there tomorrow?
I don't think so, Carla. He didn't want to make a to-do.
Are you going to have are you going to have a quorum? I'm traveling. Yeah. I'm flying tomorrow night.
No, there's been a new member appointed already.
Okay, so Polly. Okay, so there's you. There's Polly. Okay, never mind.
I have one last update.
I'm running out of paper.
Oh, okay. Well, this one is near and dear to your heart. And you may want to speak to it, actually, Chief of the Fire Department. So we had a meeting, the town had a meeting with the fire department as far as the asset transfer with the town attorney. I'd say it went reasonably well. He's getting most of what he needs, I think, if he hasn't got it already. I've seen, I think, 2 emails come through
Okay,
that have been sent on to him.
not from me.
No,
That's from Ryan.
from Ryan. Yep, yep. The only thing, I'll say one negative thing that in discussion after the meeting with the town attorney that did come up of concern, where we'll have further discussions with the fire department, is the corporation being maintained, what that's going to look like, how that's going to function, and the possibility of needing a
Name change?
of some sort officially. Right? So that's, I think there's two, we're not quite aligned yet, I guess is the best way to say it, between the town and the corporation of the fire department. So is that a fair statement from your
Fair
side,
statement.
Fire Chief?
Fair statement.
Okay. So that's probably going to be the one sticking point of conversation that we have.
I don't believe it's gonna be a problem.
Okay. I don't have any more for now.
Good, I'm running out of room. Okay, I'm good. We're gonna go into executive session.